All right, so things are still not looking too good for Tom Segura and Your Mom's House Studios. You know, they ended last year on a bad note with Tom's airport meltdown and Nadav, their producer, leaving the show. And it looks like these problems have carried over into the new year because Dr. Drew just announced that he's leaving the company. And then on the way out, he liked a tweet that said, "The ship is going down, LMFAO." So that's not the best sign there. I mean, maybe he just didn't know what this tweet was referring to or something, but it's just not looking too good here. You know, first Nadav leaving and now him. And people seem to think this might have been a ripple effect from Nadav leaving, and he was a bigger part of YMH than people realized, including Tom. But I think he's starting to realize it. Like on his show recently, he was talking about him.
Are those fake laughs that they do, or did they find that funny?
No, that was real. These guys don't fake laugh.
Okay.
No, they don't fake laugh. It's you'll hear a lot of silence.
Really?
That's how you can tell.
They laugh. The last time I was here, when I was on Your Mom, they laughed a lot.
Well, that was Capital J, but he left.
Did he die too?
He looks like he's going to die, but he moved on.
Well, all right.
He has a very powerful, mighty laugh, and he was like a big laugher.
Okay.
But he left, and you can feel the hole. Yeah.
All right.
So I think Tom is starting to realize maybe letting Nadav walk wasn't the best idea because now the chemistry is just off. And it sounds like that's why Dr. Drew left as well. Like this comment says, they listen to Dr. Drew regularly, and after Nadav left, they could tell it was done for. They said hearing Dr. Drew try to interact with the remaining booth boys was hard to listen to. He needs a co-host or an actual producer. And a bunch of other people said the same thing. And I know Nadav and Dr. Drew are pretty close. So I think Nadav was a bigger part of this company than Tom really realized. I think he was one of their longest employees, and he was their main producer. I think he said he had been there for 7 or 8 years, and they would interact with him a lot during the show. And like Tom said, he was basically the laugh track. And it sounds like without him, things are just completely different. But Tom probably figured since he's just a producer, then he's expendable. But now it looks like that's not the case. And I'm sure before Nadav left, he probably asked for a raise or something. Like also people are speculating maybe he wanted his own show on Tom's network, which would make sense because he left to start his own show on YouTube and it's going pretty well. And I'm sure if you're on Tom's network, it'd be doing just as well as Not Today, Pal, you know, the podcast that Tom gave to Rob Eiler and Jamie Lynn Siegler. And it's funny because I clicked on a random episode of that and the first comment says, "My God, the energy in the booth is dead now." So clearly Tom made a big mistake here letting Nadav go, and maybe Nadav just wanted to do things on his own. Maybe there's nothing Tom could have done, or maybe Nadav realized his value to the show and asked for a raise or asked for his own show and Tom denied it. And then, you know, he saw these two get a show and he's like, all right, this is ridiculous. I'm just going to go do things on my own. And it's funny that morale has been down since Nadav has left because the one time where the booth did sound very enthusiastic was when Steve-O was bashing Tom and Christina for making fun of poor people and not treating their employees well.
I'm guessing there's probably not that much money left over for the guys in the booth either.
Oh,
it's all
man.
Tom and Christina just running around, getting on private jets, making fun of poor people.
Yeah. God damn it. All right. Next up.
Yeah, so it's not a good sign when the only time the producers and everybody working behind the scenes get excited is when somebody's trashing their employer. And, you know, a few months ago, I thought Tom might be able to turn things around with YMH, but now it's starting to look like this is a sinking ship, and I'm sure Tom is starting to realize that as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if he starts to downsize a little bit. And also maybe this is why Nadav left. You know, maybe the writing was on the wall and he's like, you know, I'm going to get out now while it's still popular and I could still get a boost from their show and just go do my own thing, which I think was probably the right move from him. You know, he didn't need a podcast production company to host his show. I don't think anybody really needs that. And like this comment says, Tom and Christina overinvested in the studio. They thought the pandemic boom for all media was going to last forever, and the deals they were offering for comedians that have a draw were too favorable to them, so they got rejected. That's why Potter and Sickle Cell left after a year. They got an initial bump, but they would make way more money producing their own show. So I think podcast studio companies just aren't very realistic long term because first of all, the podcast market is already completely saturated. There's way too many to listen to. And then also, like I said, there's really no need for people to use a podcast production company. You can just do it on your own. I mean, I guess the initial boost helps, but also most people that sign with production companies already have a following themselves. And it's not like you need this studio producing everything. I mean, producing your own podcast is not very hard. It's like literally one of the easiest things to do. I guess if you're somebody that just wants to show up, talk, and get paid and not worry about anything else, that's the way to go. But it's really not that hard to set up your own podcast. And it doesn't need to be this highly produced thing. Some people just think the more money you spend on something, the higher quality it is, the more views it'll get. But that is definitely not the case. I mean, just look at Brendan Schaub. He acts like he has this legit operation going on, and he has a whole podcast studio. He was mentioning recently how he has a CFO to run things. He has a bunch of employees. And then he has this giant space in LA, which has got to be really expensive, and it's so unnecessary. Like, he has it so he goes to a different room for every podcast he does. Like he has one room for the fighter and the kid, then you go to another one for the golden hour, then another one for his MMA show, then another one for his fight companion, and then I think there's another room that Mark Harley used to do his show in, and then he has to have a sink to piss in. And it's all just so unnecessary. Everything could easily be done from one room. Everything could be done from his house, like in an office with one producer. There's no need for all this. It's crazy. And it's just kind of sad, because he's kind of going for what Tom has or what Barstool does, where he hires different people to do different podcasts. But the best he could do was Mark Harley, and that ended up being a disaster. So now it's just him jumping back and forth to different podcasts, acting like it's something different. And the funny thing is, he'll never realize how big of a waste everything is and how unnecessary it is. But that's what makes him Brendan. It's hilarious to watch. So let's get back to Tom here. At least he made it a step further with the whole podcast studio, but now it's not looking too good. And the podcast market not being too hot anymore is part of it, but the main problem here is Tom losing touch and thinking that he reached the point where he could just do and say whatever he wants and people are going to support him no matter what. Like, you could tell he's trying to move away from just being a goofy comedian to being a celebrity / influencer that people want to pay attention to just because he's famous and he's interesting and he's doing cool stuff. But as a comedian with fans that are adults, you're going to lose people with that. They're not interested in seeing Tom Segura's lifestyle. Like, I think Tom believed he was in a position where he could just coast because now he's got a lot of money. And on social media, if you have a lot of money, if you have nice things and nice cars and you're doing cool stuff, then people will pay attention to you. But since Tom is already known, like he already has an audience and his audience is not the right audience for that, it just doesn't work, because usually it's just younger people that are interested in that shit. Like, for example, David Dobrik, he did the move that Tom wishes he could. Like, David used to do comedy vlogs on YouTube and he gained a huge audience, and because his audience is mostly kids, they'll just watch him do anything and they think him flying on a private jet is cool and worth paying attention to. So he managed to go over to Snapchat and he signed an exclusive contract with them, I believe, and he gets paid a ton of money for it. And all he has to do is just take pictures of his life because he's David Dobrik and he's flying private. He's going to nice hotels. He's going to cool places. He's going to fancy restaurants. That's all he has to do is just basically live the life as a celebrity and he gets paid for it. That is what Tom Segura wishes he was doing, which, a lot of people wish they were doing that. But Tom, I think he was trying to pull that off and he's slowly starting to realize it's not happening. But he's still kind of trying. Like recently on TikTok, he posted this video that's supposed to be a parody of like a day in the life kind of thing where he does a vlog of his day. And you could tell he really enjoyed making the TikTok and he'll probably continue to do it. And whatever, if this is what makes him happy, at least it's better than him flipping out about poor people or having meltdowns at airports.
Now it's time to put an outfit together. I think this looks pretty cool. I'm feeling pretty fresh. I'm feeling good about myself. Time to knock out a little bit of work. You know what? I think it might be time for another coffee. This is good. This one is an espresso blend also. I'm really getting into espressos this time of year. So now, pre-show. I like to go to the gym. Today I'm going to do chest and back. These dumbbells, they only go up to 50. I'm trying to get stronger. Hopefully this works. These full extension push-ups are way more range than I'm used to. It's really tough to keep your hips up, but I'm working on it. Doing a little bit of back too. Do the back if you're gonna do the front. Now it's time for another outfit change. Ooh yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments if you want to see more of that from Tom. And also, I just wanted to mention Steve-O actually recently gave me a shout out on his podcast. He said he's a big fan of the channel. So, Steve-O, if you're watching, thanks. I appreciate it. And if you guys haven't seen the clip of him talking about the channel, I'll put it at the end of this video. But also, make sure you guys go check out my Patreon account. There's a ton of extra content on there. I just got done talking about the Jimmy Kimmel and Aaron Rodgers controversy, and also Brendan addressing the whole George situation. And there's just so much other stuff on there. So if you like the channel and you watched all the videos and you want more, I highly recommend it. I think there are probably over 50, maybe 60 videos on there at this point, and most of them are over 20 minutes. So there's a lot to go through. So check it out. There'll be a link in the description, and then hit the like button and hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you at the next video.
There was and this particularly hurt because there's a YouTube channel that I watch a lot of. It's called Too Lazy to Try. I think it's spelled with the number 2. Too Lazy to Try. And there's I think they got like more views than usual on their video essay about how it says Steve-O's podcast appearances are a mess. And tons of viewership on it. And 209,000 views. So here's the thing. There are personalities out there who have been known to like send copyright claims, try to like shut down channels. Like, I'm not that guy. Not only am I happy for Too Lazy to Try to have his video, so I'm not going to challenge anything. I'm sitting here promoting it. And I like it was gonna hurt my feelings. I know probably too much to actually watch it. It's like